Hi there, I'm Chase. You might know me, but also you might not. That doesn't matter. What does matter is I'm about to tell you all about this cool place called Fushimi. Not Fushimi Inari, just Fushimi. Let's start with the boring facts that everyone seems to like to put at the beginning of these presentations. Fushimi is one of the 11 wards that can be found in Kyoto City, the capital of the Kyoto Prefecture. To access Fushimi from the Amatagawa campus, simply take the Karasume— Oh my god! Hang on, my dinner's here. To access Fushimi from the Amatagawa campus, simply take a Karasume subway line south to Kumabashi Station. The fare is 290 yen. The population of Fushimi is estimated to be just below 281,000 people. Fushimi is famous for having multiple historically significant sites scattered around, such as Fushimi Inari Shrine, which has more torii gates than any other shrine in the world. Fushimi Castle, which was originally built in 1592. The sidewalk, where I broke my ankle, and my apartment building. I don't know when it was built, but it's pretty cool, even though my apartment's really small. I live in Fushimi, and so I've obviously spent a lot of time there. Some of my favorite spots, aside from the Family Mart, which is the only place I've ever bought food from, and thus makes it the sole reason I'm currently alive, are Takeda Park, this one store called Ojamakan, Higashikaze River, and my apartment. You might be saying, what? Why not Fushimi Inari? That's like one of the most famous shrines in Japan, and that's because I've never been there. Why haven't I been there? I don't know. I'm a busy guy. Get off my back. So the first is Takeda Park, which is actually right behind Kuinabashi Station. Takeda Park is this weird, like, dilapidated playground area that's right behind a building that I'm pretty sure is abandoned and haunted. It's always super overgrown, and it sort of looks like a place out of Chernobyl, and I've only ever seen like 2 people there. Neither of them were children, despite the fact that there's like a bunch of play structure equipment. I like this place because on my first night in Japan, I had been awake for like 30 hours flying and waiting in airports and stuff, and I was hauling around 2 big old suitcases that contained everything that I owned, and I had like a couple $100 to my name. Basically, I was tired and I was thirsty and my legs were killing me, and I actually almost passed out when I got to the top of the stairs from the subway area, but I was able to get a bottle of peachy water out of a vending machine, and it wasn't even that good. Anyway, I needed somewhere to sit, so I looked around, and there was a bench in this park. And it was a very scary looking park, but I went there anyway because I felt like I was about to die. And when I sat down, I just sort of cried, which I've never actually told anybody about. And it's super embarrassing to say, but this is the first time I've ever lived alone. And I was now pretty much entirely independent, and I was feeling overwhelmingly like, oh my god, I'm so in over my head with this whole going to Japan thing. Like, cause I was just thinking like, I want to go to Japan. And so I applied to Doshisha University, and then they were like, okay, come to Japan. And I was like, what? Are you sure? I'm really glad that nobody was in the park to see me, but I was really surprised, because it was like mid-afternoon during the summer, and I was in a park with a bunch of play structured equipment. Like, why was nobody there? Anyway, it's a mystery that I still have yet to solve. But I still love the park, because in that moment where I was like pathetic and alone, it was basically my friend, which still kind of makes me sound like I'm pathetic and alone. Anyway, next is Ojamakan. This is a lot less sentimental and more can be explained by like, I like video games, and they sell a lot of cool video games there. They sell a variety of games, both retro and modern, and they're all in super great condition. Like, I got an orange GameCube with, like, the manual in the box and all the cords and stuff, and I also got 2 games and a giant memory card for, like, 8,000 yen. That's not a lot of money for a GameCube in great condition like that. It just feels really cool that there's just a place like that near my house. It's not like, oh, I was feeling alone and I cried and I really made a connection with that area. It's not like that. It's just I like video games. Higashikaze River. This one's really easy. It's like easier than the last one. It's just right next to my apartment, so like whenever I'm out on my balcony staring wistfully at the horizon, Higashikaze River takes like 30% of the view, and that's a lot. That's a lot considering the fact that like 40% of the view is the sky. Finally is my apartment. And I saved this one for last because it kind of ties in nicely to that idea of why is this my special place. So I'll explain that. Fushimi is the place where I feel the most at home in Japan. Even if I'm out getting food from Family Mart, or I'm a little bit farther south at the bank, or if I'm just riding around on my bike, I feel like I'm at home here. I feel like I'm safe. And since I'm like 8,100 miles away from the nearest member of my family or group of friends that I've had for the first 20 years of my life, feeling safe is kind of a big deal, you know? And the fact that I'm able to come home to my apartment, lay down in bed, and say, like, I'm safe right now is something that I'm incredibly grateful for. And that's why I consider Fushimi to be my special place in Kyoto. Now, before I finish, I'm gonna tell a quick story. When I fell off my bike and broke my leg, I was stuck in my apartment for like 2 weeks at a time. So like I just wouldn't, I straight up wouldn't go outside or like see the sky for like 10 days. But every time that I did go outside, like when I was visiting like a hospital or something, I would always see this lady, and I call her Obasan because she's just, you know, an older lady. But like every time I see her and I talk to her, I feel like I actually have a soul, which is incredibly rare to happen nowadays. So the first time I ran into her, it was actually before I broke my leg. I just bought my cheapo bike for like 10,000 yen, and I immediately messed up the front bumper by getting the my umbrella caught in it, which also messed up the umbrella, but that was only like 700 yen, so that's not like, you know, as big of a deal. That made it so there was this like jagged spike just like sticking out of the side of my bike, Mad Max style. And Obasan saw me wheeling this dangerous piece of metal out of the complex's garage, like, no big deal, just gonna go get some groceries, hope I don't decapitate anyone on my way there. And being the good citizen that she is, she stopped me like a responsible person would, and she said a bunch of words at me, which I didn't understand, and I still don't because I can't recall them. I feel like she knew that I didn't understand what she was talking about, but she just like kept talking, which I'm sort of grateful for because that made it feel like we were having an actual conversation, which we definitely weren't. She was like gardening in the front little plot in front of the apartment complex, and she let me use her gloves to like bend the metal with my hands, and it was like, we just spent like 10 minutes there on the road in front of my apartment building, just bending this piece of metal, and she was like talking to me, and I was like, oh, hi, yeah, hi. But I mean, like I said, she knew that I didn't know what the heck she was saying. Anyway, eventually I was able to snap it off, and she never seemed like she was annoyed with me, which I was really surprised about, because, you know, she definitely should have been annoyed with me. She saw me off, and she smiled, and it was like a genuine smile, and I went to go get my groceries. The second time I saw her that we actually talked, it was after I broke my leg, and she saw my cast. When I broke my leg, it was like 15 minutes to get from my 4th floor apartment down the stairs to the ground floor. So I was like out of breath, and she saw me crawling down on my butt, like down the stairs, and she was like, oh my gosh. I don't know what she was saying, but she was concerned for sure. And I was like, watashi no bicycle, and she was like, baka, and it sounded like she was like scolding me, like she was my mom. I don't know, it was funny, and it was nice. The last time I saw her was actually a couple weeks ago, and I got my cast off, but I was still like limping a little bit, and I still had a crutch that I was using to walk around. She could have just like, you know, nodded at me and like smiled, but she actually stopped me and asked how I was doing and how my foot was, and that was super sweet, because like she definitely didn't have to do that. Anyway, I haven't seen her in a while, but I'm looking forward to the next time I do. Anywho, that's the end of my anecdotes, and I guess kind of the end of my presentation. Fushimi is really cool, and I'm so glad that out of everywhere that I could have lived in Kyoto, I happened to fall into Fushimi. I didn't do any research into it before I got my apartment. I just sort of like accepted that it would be fine, and like it wouldn't matter what it was like because I could just, you know, like go hop on a train and spend my time somewhere else if I didn't like it. But after like spending some time here, which I was kind of forced to do since I broke my leg, I can genuinely say that it's a really, really great place, and I wholeheartedly recommend that you come down here and walk around and, you know, see what it has to offer for you. And that's gonna be it. Thank you for listening. I feel like that's kind of an abrupt ending, but, you know. Okay, bye.